Hello, welcome to another tutorial of minimalism. In here, I go by the name Escali, and I know you've been overwhelmed by cluttered design for some days, some months, and probably some years. So in this tutorial, I will show you how to craft very simple but yet powerful designs that communicate your message clearly and effectively. So without further ado, let's get started. So here we are in Photoshop, and thank you for joining me for today's lesson. I'll be sharing with you the reason behind this design and why you should keep your works as simple as you can. Let's go ahead and close this document and create a new one. In here, I'll be using a document size of 1280 by 720 pixels with the resolution set to 150 pixels per inch. So before I continue, make sure you have subscribed to my channel and don't forget to turn on the bell notification icon so you don't miss out any content I post on this platform. First, what we will do is that we will create a solid background for our design. In here, I'll be using color green and the code is 0C22F. Let's go ahead and bring in our subject. I already have my subject in PNG, and you can go ahead to access the files in the description below to follow along with this tutorial. In this case, I want to create contrast between the subject and the background, so I will go ahead to desaturate the image to make it black and white, and we can do that by pressing Ctrl plus Shift plus A on our keyboard to bring out the camera raw filter, or you can also do that by going to filter and then scrolling down to camera raw filter. Under the profile tab, select browse. Click on B&W. For this tutorial, I'll be using B&W 03 and I'll increase the amount to 125 and hit OK. Before we can go ahead and do anything else, let's bring in our rule of third grades to guide us through our composition, and we can get access to that by going to View at the top menu bar. Scroll down to Guides and select New Guide Layout. Enter 3 for the columns and the rows. For the margins, enter 20 for all and click OK. If you want to grab attention, then it is advisable to place important elements at the intersections or along the lines. Let's label our intersections as A, B, C, and D. According to studies, at the first glance, 41% of viewers will first look at the part labeled A, 20% of viewers will first look at the part labeled B, 25% of viewers will also look at the part labeled C, and then lastly, 14% of viewers will also first look at the part labeled D. So now, with this in mind, let's place our image at the 20% viewer intersections of the grid. In this case, we can see how contrasting our desaturated subject looks on the background. So now, let's go ahead and bring in our text. At this point, I'll be using a typeface called Poppins. With a point size set to 50. And let's place it at the 41% viewers position. And let's go ahead and make it bold. Now, with a sense of hierarchy and contrast in mind, let's go ahead and bring in our next text. And let's go ahead and divide this by 1.618. And this technique is referred to as golden ratio. We will dive deep into that probably in our upcoming future tutorials. So, for minimalism's sake, I'll be using 15 point size for the text to create interest in the design. So let's go ahead and reduce the leading to 17 and change the weight of the font to medium. As an artist, aside following rules and principles, there's a need for you to also experiment with your designs. For example, you can scale this image further to create more visual interest in your design. Just know what works best for you and trust your instincts. Alright, that was just by the way. If you want to know more about how to design, make sure you have subscribed to this channel and don't forget to turn on the bell notification icon so you don't miss out any content I post on this platform. Let's duplicate this text layer. So now we can bring in our next text. And let's scale it down by dividing it by 1.618. And we will get 9.27. For minimalism's sake, I will experiment with the text and I'll be using a font size of 7.5. To make sure your designs are relatable and easy to read, you should always consider adding 2 to every point size you are using. The answer you get is the leading or the line spacing. So now, we will add 2 to the point size and what we will get, which is 9.5, is our leading. And let's give it more negative space to breathe. Now, we can create a call to action. Let's do that by creating a rectangle. I'll be using 16 rounded edge for this. Let's duplicate this text layer and type in our call to action. For this tutorial, I'll be using Be Simple, but in your case, you can use whatever you think works best for you. Now, let's go ahead and bring in an icon to spice up this design. We will then go ahead to give the icon a color. I'll be using the background color for the icon. Now that we have everything in place, let's bring in a flower to give this design a feminine touch. Before we continue, let me tell you guys a life story. It all started back at SHS when I saw how hard this country was becoming. This made me start to think, what should I do? I started asking myself. I had nothing in mind, but I was good at drawing. So I started as a pencil artist. Luckily, I found my way into graphic designing about 4 months later. Our ICT teachers, wherever they are, God bless them, they said, why not organize an extra classes for you guys so you can learn something? At that time, we had an option to register only one course out of graphic designing, hardware and networking, and programming. Looking at my drawing skills, I decided to go in for graphic designing. So I had a best friend whom I lured to choose programming, since I had interest in both graphic designing and programming, so we can teach each other after a successful class. But I couldn't kill two birds with one stone, so I had to focus on one. It's been 5 years and I can say that the journey hasn't been easy. But with consistency and determination, I have started emerging as an intermediate graphic designer, making my way to the pro level. I made so many mistakes as I was beginning my graphic design journey, and some of them were not taking my elements and principles of design very serious. I started working for money, and people took me for granted because I gave them nice designs, which I sat down 4 hours and more perfecting for cheaper price. It's okay to make these mistakes as a beginner. One thing I can tell you for the fact is to learn from whatever mistakes you are doing and don't be fooled twice. Know your worth and niche down to whatever you are really good at. Don't generalize yourself. Be known for a specific thing in life. For example, if you know how to design logo, spend all your time refining and perfecting your skill, and you won't ever regret doing this in the future when you are fully ready. Alright, that was just by the way. At this point, let's make this design more interesting by bringing in some circles to make the background attractive and digestive. You can do whatever you think works best for you, but just be creative with it. So, after experimenting with mine, this is what I got. This brings us to the end of this tutorial. You can recreate or experiment this in your own way, and that's how you can improve upon your design. I will be glad if you share with me what you've experimented on or recreated at the comment section. Before I go, please make sure you have subscribed to my channel and don't forget to turn on the bell notification icon so you don't miss out any content I post on this platform. Thank you for watching.